Hi everyone, in this video we're going to look a little bit at your background and context of your research paper and writing a good curiosity question. So a friendly reminder, we're in Google Classroom and your spreadsheet data can be found here and your final publishable research that we're going to look at is found here. When you open that, you have a spot to write your background and context and your curiosity question. So the first thing I want you to think about is your background and context. In publishable research, background and context gives us a little sense of your topic, the background information we need about your topic, and leads us into your curiosity question. Some really good resources, think about this as bringing us into the story. If you want to hear some great background and context, go to Freakonomics Radio Archive. There's a ton of interesting episodes, and if you listen to the first 3 minutes, they really do a good job of bringing you into the story of the research that they're going to share. So I would take a little bit and listen to the first 3 minutes of one of those pieces. So if we look at Vlad's, he shares with us his personal story about becoming a music producer, and then he brings us into his research question. I have noticed that my top songs have a significantly higher number of listens than my other songs. Therefore, I wanted to study the overall pattern. So this is kind of your transition into your curiosity question, that last sentence. So take some time, pause the video, work on writing, bringing us into the story, some background and context, and then I'm going to come back and talk to you about writing a good curiosity question. Okay, welcome back. We're going to talk about writing a good research question, a good curiosity question. A good research question, curiosity question, this is the beginning of your IB experience, and we love in the IB to recognize that our world is gray and not black and white, and our research, therefore, should be gray and not black and white. So you will often write research questions around the sentence starter, to what extent? So we're studying exponential models, and we're trying to build that underlying pattern. So you might, for a research question, ask, to what extent is there an underlying pattern? And then talk to us about your topic. And when we're studying underlying patterns, what we're really studying is something predictable? Are humans predictable in their interest in a certain elected president after a US election? Are humans predictable in how interested they are on Beyonce's album release, no matter when she releases it? Is there a pattern of human behavior, or whatever else you're studying? If you have a single graph, you're not comparing two graphs, then you might want to think about analyzing, okay, after you build your model, what next? And so one thing you could do is look at overperformance versus underperformance, if that makes sense for what you're studying. So for instance, in Vlad's, his #1 song way out overperformed the model. We can see that after Vlad builds his model. And his #3 song also overperformed by a pretty large extent. None of his songs really underperformed to a significant extent. So that was analyzing his second research question. He was comparing the actual data points to the model he had built. Another thing you could do if you're doing a single one is looking at, I'll just type it under here, using our model. Could we predict when, if you were studying, for instance, the rise of Instagram or populations or something, when my y-axis, so Instagram users, would hit 100 million? So now I'm saying, can I use my model to predict, to find a specific y value? So here's my original data is shown in green for Instagram users over time. This is months since December 2010. When I build my equation, that purple line all the way through, now I can see and analyze when would my model predict that we hit 100 million users. So that's great in terms of pre-business. You're doing some research on marketing to help someone market. Hey, we're on the marketing team on Instagram. We need some advertisers. Hey, guess what, advertisers? We're going to hit 100 million users in the month, blah, blah, blah. So another curiosity question might be, could we predict something using our model? If you're doing two graphs, then obviously one of your curiosity questions would be, to what extent is there an underlying pattern, but also to what extent do these two models follow the same pattern? In other words, do they have comparable p-values? So hopefully that gives you a good start to writing your bring us into the story, your background and context, and writing some specific good curiosity questions that you can very clearly answer by the end of your paper.